just want to take a time and say hello. Oh, I'm going to take off my hat today because it looks like I'm in the dark if I don't. Go Dodgers. And then I am going to share some resources that we have to go along with this activity for those of you out there in the audience. So the first resource I'm going to share, it's really all the resources. They're there in a Google Drive. And what you will see in that drive is a human-centered design packet on the left. That packet is there both in English, and I believe I can upload a Spanish one shortly after this one. There's also a lesson plan. So if you are a parent, teacher, educator, and you would like to see, what is the whole lesson plan of this activity we're about to do, it is right there. I'm also going to show some results of a Google form that we use. So there's a link to that form there. There's also links if you are a community educator, community advocate, and you would like more invention programs in your community. There's some resources there about how we can support those efforts. And then there is the PDF of this presentation. So we have the option of following along. Again, I'm going to upload this packet over here on the left in English, in Spanish after this one. And to give you an idea what is in here, it is each step of the human-centered design process. So if you like this activity a lot, you want to use human-centered design in other things, other kind of problems that you're looking to find and solve, human-centered design is very helpful at that. So here's a cool little packet that will go along with that endeavor. All right, so let's get going with today's activity. So today is called Human-Centered Design, Make a Mask. And so before you came here today, you filled out some information about making a mask. And right now we know that in kind of inventing in a health crisis. So oftentimes in a health crisis, there's a saying like, look for the inventors, look for what people are doing, look for the ways that people are helping. And so here are two examples of that. The one on the right side of your screen is folks who invented that blue substance there so they could see when a surface had been adequately washed. They could see what's been washed and what hasn't been washed. And then on the left, not everyone can wear a mask, as we'll be discussing. And so how can we design and invent for, the smallest among us and develop a mask for that? Also, many times inventing, you'll see it with veterans who have been wounded in action. And so how are their lives, being enhanced by invention? So there's also some little bit of reading there that you can look into. All right, so invention for everything, whether it be the mask that we have here, and then the then. So if we thought about right now with COVID-19 and a pandemic, you might think of the flu that occurred. And so there was a then. I've seen a lot of black and white photos of people wearing masks. They look very similar to the ones that we have today. But there was probably some innovation. So thinking how masks have changed. And then now I need to use one today. Later on this activity, we'll be talking about some ways that, masks don't exactly work great for me. So, all right. And again, today we're going to be using human-centered design. We're going to be moving through these steps. The first one is empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. So because you filled out that form before you got here, you've already kind of moved through the empathize, define, and ideate. So really this activity, we're going to be meeting together today to do the prototype and test part. All right. So personal protective mask. Who is the user? This is that empathize stage. So again, going from that Google form, you would fill it out right here. Here are the answers. So in this Google form, I asked you, if you were to make a mask for COVID-19, who would you make it for? So the majority of you, one person said their dog, myself is first the experimental model, maybe a teacher. Let's move back to that first page though. Oops. Let's see these big ones. We have a child, student, parent, friends, myself. What are these other ones? Asthma. And then if we go further down, imagine the person you're making a mask for. So part of thinking about the empathy in human-centered design is who is our user? So who are we going to make a mask for? We haven't started building yet. We haven't really thought about it. We're just thinking about who are we going to make it for? And then what kind of things did they want? So materials, this is what we're going to be using to help us decide about the mask that we're making. So jumping back over here now to this PowerPoint, let's get to thinking. So empathy, connecting with the user. Who will use the mask and what do they care about? So other things that you could do that are going to be listed on right throughout this PowerPoint. Again, if you're designing something for someone, maybe there's someone in your household that has a particular need. You might interview them. You might do some observations and see how you could help them. All right, so define. Over here, I have some ratings of fabric in particles. So let's get back over here to our data, to what the user said about their define. Because remember, the majority of users, they said they make it for a child or a student, parent, or friend. And then this person over here said their dog. All right, so ease of taking on and off. So first, most wanted quality. All right, because we got first, second, third, and fourth, and fifth, and sixth. And the categories that you could have picked were ease of taking on and off, quality of material, breathability, comfortable to wear, fashion, self-expression, and safety. So let's hear first most. Ease of taking on and off. Two folks said that they wanted that the most. Breathability, followed by comfort to wear, but most definitely is safety. Okay, so we want something that's certainly safe. Second category though, breathability. So safe and breathable. Then comfortable to wear and safety. Let's think about then our third, fourth kind of category. So these are kind of the nice to have it's. The comfortable to wear, quality of material. So definitely safe, breathable, and then comfortable and quality of material. Let's see something that they don't really. So self-expression and fashion, those seem to be later things. So those might be some add-ons later on down the line. Ease of taking it on and off might not be that important to some. It seems like they just want it on and then they're good. Quality of material might be less important to some. So maybe they have other rankings up there. So that's something to consider. And then now let's try to define that problem within the greater concept of why we're going to make a mask. So in your own words, I asked some of you to describe, what is the problem going on here and how can we do that? And I am going to show you real quick one cool way to look at a ton of this data. We've had another STEM at Home about kind of data and data stories. And I just want to show you one quick tool that I have about that. We'll just jump right over because that was a lot. We had a lot of responses there. I think we had around like 36. And so that is a lot. And so what I want to do is I want to get a quick way. Imagine if you interviewed a bunch of people about making a mask, kind of like that data did. And you're like, how am I going to make sense of that? We do have other activities that are super awesome at that. And so I'm just going to show you how I'm going to do that real quick. All right. So here's where all your responses that you had, all of these responses right here to help, the problem, so many different ideas, safety first. So I'm going to ask you, why are we even talking about this? And look at, these are all your responses. So I'm going to copy them there. I'm going to click over to one of my favorite web pages, databasic.io. I'm just going to paste this right here. All right, and now what this tells me is kind of how you are all in the audience thinking about this problem. So we see here are the bigger words are the ones that are referenced the most. And then we see words by frequency. So mask, COVID, spread, 19, making, wear, problem. Big bigram. So these are words that are kind of two together. And then over here is 3 for the trigram. So of COVID, wear a mask, of COVID, spread, the spread of a mask, COVID. All right, so needs, safety, covering, stop. All right, droplets. Ooh, 2 folks mentioned droplets out of 723. So if you could just right there in the chat say, what do you think that big problem is in your own words? Why are we doing this? How can we make sense? All right, I see a few in there. One of the ones that I see are to prevent the spread of droplets. So I see prevent, spread, droplets. So spreading, prevent, droplets, spread there again, mask. And yeah, and this is just a cool tool I wanted to highlight that we can take a ton of that text data that you gave right here and just think about how are we going to make sense of it? How are we going to make sense of that real quick? All right, so stop the spread of COVID. That is right now, that is our problem that we're working on. So that is the problem that we're defining. And here I was able to do some additional research. So you might think about, what are the, others that they're using. So I saw interesting things like a vacuum cleaner bag. That'd be interesting. Cotton t-shirt, antimicrobial pillowcases, scarves, linen, silk. All right, so those are all things that we could use to help stop the spread. It's something that we want. And now this is the ideate stage. So does this mask that you're going to try to build have to be a mask as you know it? So to warm our brains up before we get building, what I like to do is to do one of these kind of pictures. So that one on the left, you see the 2 circles with a line. What can that be? So in chat, take a moment and see if you could add all of the things that it could be in there. So just try there, and we're just gonna have a big blurb of everything that it could be. So Barbo, glasses. What else could it be? Oh, those timers. Oh, I see a Q-tip. Yeah. It could. I think of kind of like the mouth on a robot, like the clamp mouth. So maybe it's a mouth. All these things that it could be. And so this helps us just to get outside of that box of, so we're thinking about a mask, but it could also be a face shield. It could also be a mask that is made of a fabric that you really like, but also have self-expression. Maybe you're one of those few. So what are ways that we can do with this one? All right. All right, and so now we're into the prototyping stage. So what we are going to do is we are going to look back right here at this list that you made, again, when you filled out that survey. And here you see some things that you had. So we are going to have about 2 minutes. I'm gonna go off camera, I'm gonna get some supplies. We're gonna have 2 minutes. And these are some of the examples that you gave. So you might wanna grab a t-shirt, rubber band, bungee cord, fabric, string, elastic, fishing line, interesting. So there's some examples. Maybe you get a test dummy. So maybe, I don't know, a stuffed animal of sorts so you can put the mask on them and see how it looks. That's a really good suggestion there. I'm gonna go get one. All right, so we're gonna take 2 minutes and then we are gonna gather our supplies and then we're gonna try building. All right, take 2 minutes and go. So now that I'm unmuted, when I came back, I got some sunglasses to help me with my mask because my problem is that it keeps fogging up and I can't see. So I want to see if I can make a mask that'll help me with that. I took that one person's suggestion who wrote there in the survey to get something to put your mask on. So I'm going to try putting it on this bear right here with a pumpkin because it's Halloween. And yeah, so all right. So if you have your supplies, I also got some rubber bands. I got some cloth. I got some different sizes of cloth. I saw one of my friends the other day. They told me that if you have a mask with a big nose area, it might not fog up as much. So I'm going to try to build mine that way. So, all right, I'm going to go back to this presentation right here. And we are going to get to prototyping. So again, we are going to take, about 5 minutes here and start building. So you right now have 5 minutes to build. So that's 5 minutes. I'll be chiming in at 2 minutes and then again at 1 minute. All right, so welcome back. I'm wondering how your make a mask went. I tried putting mine onto my, my mannequin here. And realized quickly that bear's ears are very small and it would not fit. So then I tried putting mine first on me and I realized I need to make my rubber bands bigger. So I broke some apart, started building them. And then after I got one, I used it right here. I used this nice little towel. It was a little thick, a little hard breathable, but I found myself thinking about, do I prefer masks that I can tighten kind of like this? With these kind of ends. So I was thinking maybe rubber bands is not the best because it kept getting caught in my ear, followed by looking at this kind of a scrunchy material. So thinking about how that might work. And then I saw that even kind of thinner bands are out there. So I started looking at existing products to kind of see how I could make my mask better, which I realized I might need to retry this. All right. And that's perfectly okay with invention because it is definitely a reiterative process. So we just moved into that prototyping stage. So we took some time to consider and warm our brains up about what does a user want. I was designing for myself and hoping that I could get something that can help me not have my glasses fog up. I got a little there, I got a little closer. I started realizing that I should probably be prototyping on something so I can see it first, but then that something needs to go over my face. I started thinking about the kind of things that could go over ears because of another problem that I ran into was my hair is getting kind of long and was getting stuck on these rubber bands. So thinking about that material, and then also I got some information about what kind of material I would want to make a mask out of. I tried using this hand towel here. It was very thick. So definitely not. So that was kind of the fail fast, learn fast benefits there. I learned a lot. I learned how I would prototype. And all of this can help me in making a mask. All right, so I hope you found out a lot of things about how you can build and how you can prototype. All right, so now let's move on here. So task, showing how your solution meets the needs of the user. So I wasn't able to get there today with my making of the mask. I hope you were. So if you were making your mask for someone, think about at that end product, how would they meet their needs? So I didn't know actually that I had the other need of not wanting a rubber band to go through my hair with the mask, because I didn't know that gets stuck. I just didn't know. So you might actually, through the prototype phase, realize that your user has other needs. For example, if I rated ease of taking on and off and safety is pretty high, and then I realized that I can't take it on and off very well, then I'm probably not going to wear it. So thinking about that can really inform you later in the testing phase of, how could I wear this? Because I may make the great mask for people with long hair, or at least sitting on their ears, and also doesn't fog up for them. Here on the left, we found another mask by Ashley Lawrence, who developed one with an open face so people in the deaf community could see her lips. So thinking about hard of hearing individuals and being allowed to be better and able to lip read. Also, personally, I find that I like to smile at people and make eye contact, so I too see a benefit of that. So just thinking about, who may also like the mask that you make is something very important. All right. So just a quick reminder here, if you are an educator, if you're doing this in the audience, you could, whoops, sorry about that. You could kind of set up a timer, move through these, and just go through the same thing that we did, thinking about, any problem, anything they're working on, thinking about, empathy, who is the user, who is this going to affect? What is the problem? What is the problem that they're experiencing? How does this relate to bigger problems, perhaps in society? And then ideate and brainstorm solutions. Here you saw some creativity ideas. We considered what that little kind of Q-tip like thing could be. So that's a good time to kind of explore, engage in team building, brainstorming, and then also prototype. There's many kinds of prototypes that you can make. You can also, as I ended up doing in the prototype stage, I ended up, I think, thinking about more what and how to prototype than getting to prototype. So I definitely will be going back there when I decide to make more of a mask. And then also test and share. So think about, you could design a backpack for someone else in your class, someone else in your community. You could design a mask for someone else in your backpack or your community, and just think about how does it meet their needs. And then if you did this in your class, then you can certainly, extend to something like a backpack. You could definitely break out the discussions. And this is just some suggested timelines that you'll see in the PDF too. And this is a suggested timeline if you wanted to do it in a fun kind of warm up idea that we did here today. All right. So with that, I'd like to say thank you very much for attending. I had a great time being here at the STEM at Home. Again, this is part of the iINVENT series, and certainly go and explore, well, the STEM at Home series is related to iINVENT, but certainly go and explore that Google Drive that we let out there go into the chat right there. So thank you very much, and have a great evening, and also enjoy Halloween, and go Dodgers.